Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to cilinixfxcapital and welcome to your daily Bitcoin update. Enough to talk about today. It's the end of the week. End of the week is usually volatile. Yesterday we got some major news with the inflation rate, the CPI, and some job numbers by the US. I live streamed during the event, but we'll do a quick overview of what happened and what that means for the market as well in this video. So we'll talk about some news. We'll talk about the technicals. We'll talk about the implications of today being Friday, because if you don't know, Friday and kind of sometimes also Saturday, it depends a bit on the volume, etc. Usually those are days when big market makers and big funds, etc. close their positions, which, it could be that after a week of falling down, that most of those positions were short, and that we'll actually see some sort of recovery and some sort of a bullish pullback today. So we'll talk about that. Before we dive into that, I briefly want to tell you, and if you know about this, just skip ahead, but I have my own premium trading group in which I share my own trades as signals, but you also gain access to a chat room full of traders and my trading guide. So if you're interested in that, it's a profitable group, and consider joining. But for now, let's get into Bitcoin. So like I said, purely fundamentally, yesterday was actually quite bearish for Bitcoin, and that's also what we have seen, or at least what we saw yesterday during the day. The CPI and the inflation rate were higher than expected both, and then the jobless numbers were a little bit ambiguous. Like the initial jobless claims numbers were just below expected, which is bearish for Bitcoin, but then the continuing jobless claims and the previous numbers were all brought to be higher, which is bearish. So we saw a little bit of a neutral reaction at first. And then afterwards, a bit of bearish momentum down towards 26,500, where Bitcoin actually did respect this newly formed trend line. And that's interesting. And that also means that right now we're seeing some bullish momentum, which will likely continue a bit higher at least. Because if we're talking about the general market structure for Bitcoin right now, what you would say is that if you zoom out enough, it's a bit of a range. It's a bit of a consolidation. If you zoom out even more, it's still a downtrend, and if you zoom in a lot, it's also a downtrend, because the EMAs are slowly flowing down. There's massive resistance right now around 27,000, and then up to 27,250. So the market structure is quite hard to grasp, and that's an alert I need to tend to after this video. So it's hard to understand. I would say, and it's even harder to understand given that it's a Friday and that therefore the markets are quite volatile. But I would say that Bitcoin will regain some bullish momentum up to this level right here, around 27,000, and probably a little bit above that. So here you can see that there's a 382 fib with a 200 EMA, which is likely to be a very strong resistance. So what we'll see is Bitcoin will get to that resistance, and if it does not find massive resistance there, it's likely that Bitcoin will actually stabilize and get some more bullish momentum up to the levels around 27,300 and 27,500. Now, personally, given the fundamental situation in the world right now, but also economically, I'd say it's more likely that Bitcoin will reach up there, but that it will find massive resistance. It might even spike up all the way to 27,250. But I expect it to find some big resistance there, and to eventually, over the next couple of days, fall down towards this massive support level between 26,300 and 26,100. That is the most likely scenario in my eyes, but like I said, that's mainly based on what we're seeing right now in the world around crypto, and not necessarily what we're seeing with the technicals. And then apart from that, like the volume has dropped down quite significantly after yesterday morning, which is quite weird, at least in futures. And the open interest right now is also it's still decreasing. It's growing a little bit right now because of the price going up, I would say. But overall, the open interest is also decreasing. So there also seems to not be that much momentum right now in Bitcoin. And that's a further confirmation of this, I would say. But like I said, I'm not shorting Bitcoin, all right? Personally, I'll just be awaiting the confirmation we get from that resistance level. And from there, we'll see you again. All right. So those are my thoughts on Bitcoin for now. If you do have any questions, then let me know down in the comments. But for now, thank you for watching and listening, and a great weekend in advance. Bye.